Porcelain shattered before anyone could breathe. A tiny white plate flew across the luxury dining hall, slicing through the murmured conversations of wealthy guests, and exploding against a marble pillar like a gunshot. Heads jerked toward the chaos. In the center stood a trembling little boy, the billionaire's son, face red, eyes swollen, his small hand shaking as he grabbed another plate to throw. And when it slipped from his fingers and struck the black waitress in the shoulder, the entire room froze. If this already made your blood boil, hit like and subscribe right now, because stories like this are still happening, and the world needs to hear them. Maya, the only black staff member on duty, staggered from the impact, her breath catching as pain crawled down her arm. She steadied herself, even as rich guests stared like she was a problem instead of a person who just got hit. The father, Ethan, all polished suit and cold authority, barked at her without even looking at his son. Don't go near him. Just step back. We'll handle this. But no one handled anything. The boy's chest heaved like he was drowning in air too heavy to breathe. His fingers curled around a glass next, ready to hurl it. Staff froze. Guests whispered. Phones lifted. Everyone waited for someone else to step in. Maya moved first. Slow, soft, careful. She knelt through broken shards, blood blooming under her sleeve, and whispered to him, "Hey, sweetheart, you don't have to fight so hard. I'm right here." The boy's arms dropped. His sobs cracked open. For the first time all night, he looked at someone, really looked, and it wasn't his father. It was her. The room held its breath as he stepped closer, then collapsed against her chest like he found shelter for the first time. And that was the moment everything changed. The dining hall erupted only after the boy clung to Maya like he'd known her forever. A server cart crashed behind them, plates spilling like rain. Maya curled her arm around the child, shielding him without thinking. A heavy wooden board struck her back. She winced but held steady, whispering, "You're safe. I've got you." Ethan rushed forward too late, eyes wide with a panic he didn't understand. "Call 911. Now," he shouted, but his voice cracked in a way money couldn't mask. Guests backed away as if the scene might stain their clothes. Cameras flashed. Whispers spread. The billionaire who commanded boardrooms was suddenly helpless in front of a trembling child who only trusted the black waitress bleeding on the floor. Paramedics burst in. One of them tried to pull the boy from Maya's arms, but he clung tighter, tiny fingers digging into her sleeve. "No, don't," he whispered. She stroked his back gently. "It's okay, sweetheart. You can stay close. I'm not going anywhere." Only then did he loosen his grip. They lifted her onto a stretcher, glass still clinging to her uniform. Ethan followed, torn between shame and confusion. Reporters swarmed outside, shouting questions as the ambulance door slammed shut. Maya lay still, breathing through the pain, but her only thought was the boy's small hand shaking in hers moments ago. At the hospital, bright white lights replaced the chaos. Nurses cleaned the cuts across her shoulder. A doctor muttered about bruised ribs. Through it all, Maya didn't complain. She'd survived worse alone. The door opened. Ethan stepped in, suit wrinkled, expression cracked. He stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. "I yelled at you," he said quietly, "while you were bleeding and you still protected my son." Maya didn't answer. She didn't trust her voice enough to steady the room. Ethan swallowed hard. "He asked for you. That's never happened before. Not with anyone." She finally looked up. "Kids don't cling to strangers," she said softly. "They cling to safety." For the first time, Ethan had no reply, and in that silence, the truth settled heavier than the bandages on her skin. The next morning, Maya expected silence, maybe a discharge form, maybe a cab ride home. Instead, a black luxury SUV waited outside the hospital entrance, spotless and still, like it had been guarding the door all night. A woman in a tailored coat approached her. "Miss Maya Williams?" Maya hesitated. "Who's asking?" "I'm Mr. Ethan's assistant. He requested I bring you to the residence. His son has been asking for you since dawn." Maya blinked. "I'm not part of this family." "Ma'am, he refused breakfast until we called you. That was the sentence that did it." She sighed and climbed in. The drive took them away from traffic and noise toward a gated estate larger than any building Maya had ever cleaned tables in. The mansion rose into view like something carved out of old money. Pillars polished stone, and windows tall enough to swallow the morning light hole. Inside, everything felt too quiet, too shiny, too cold. Footsteps echoed like the house had never learned how to hold laughter. Then Ethan appeared at the top of the stairs, no suit jacket this time. Sleeves rolled up as if he tried to look human. He walked down slowly. "Thank you for coming." "I didn't say I would," she replied. "No," he said, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "But I hoped you might." Before she could answer, soft footsteps pattered across the floor. The boy, Lucas, peeked around the corner, hair messy, holding a small stuffed dinosaur like a shield. His eyes locked onto hers, and something in him unclenched. He walked, not ran, straight into her arms. Maya crouched carefully, ignoring the pull in her injured shoulder. "Hey there, sugar," she whispered. "You came back," he said into her sleeve. "I told you I'd be right behind you." Ethan watched them, every breath uneven. He hasn't let anyone touch him since. He stopped, searching for the right ending, since his mother passed. Maya looked at him. Kids don't break for no reason. He nodded, exhaling. "Will you stay for a little while? He trusts you." She hesitated, glancing from the quiet boy to the quiet house. "I'll stay today. That's all I'm promising." Ethan nodded like that was more than he deserved. Lucas slid his tiny hand into hers, guiding her down a long hallway lined with portraits of people who looked nothing like her. Yet, in all that marble and money, she was the only one the child chose to follow. If this happened right in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you want justice as much as I do, hit subscribe. The day had barely settled when a sharp, panicked scream tore through the hallway. Maya froze for half a second, then sprinted toward the sound, her flats barely touching the polished floor. Ethan was right behind her, breath caught in his throat. They found Lucas curled on the carpet of his bedroom, hands clamped over his ears, rocking back and forth as if the world had become too loud to survive. The nanny stood frozen near the dresser, clutching a clipboard like a shield. "I just told him he needed to get dressed for his confidence lesson," she stammered. "He started screaming. I didn't touch him." Maya knelt immediately, her voice dropping into a softness the room didn't deserve. "Hey, sweetheart, look at me." Lucas didn't. His breath came in sharp bursts, chest shaking, tears streaking down his cheeks. Maya slowly reached for his hand and pressed it against her heartbeat. "Feel that? That's mine. I'm right here, still steady, still with you." The rocking slowed. His breathing loosened. His eyes lifted, wet, frightened, searching, and Maya brushed a curl from his forehead. "You're okay, sugar. Nothing's gonna hurt you." He leaned forward, collapsing into her chest. Maya held him carefully, ignoring the sting in her shoulder. Ethan stepped closer, regret twisting across his face. What caused this?" he whispered. Maya looked up sharply. "He's 5. He doesn't need public speaking lessons. He needs space to be a child." Ethan swallowed hard, guilt rising. "I thought pushing him would help him grow past the grief." "It's not grief he's fighting," she said softly. "It's the noise no one sees." The nanny hovered awkwardly. Ethan exhaled sharply. "You can go," he said, voice flat. "You're dismissed." She rushed out, almost tripping over her own shoes. Maya shifted her arm around Lucas, feeling the soft tremor still running through his small frame. "You don't have to talk in front of anyone if you don't want to," she whispered. Lucas's voice was a shaky whisper. "Do I still have to go to the lesson?" "Not today," Maya said. "Not ever, unless you want to." Ethan knelt beside them, eyes softening in a way Maya hadn't seen before. "I'm sorry, buddy. I thought I was helping. I didn't know." Lucas didn't speak, but he didn't turn away from him. It was the smallest peace offering, but it was real. They sat like that for a moment, Maya holding him steady, Ethan learning to breathe beside them. Finally, Maya helped Lucas to his feet. "Come on, sugar, let's get some air." They walked toward the sunroom, Lucas gripping her hand tightly. Ethan followed, quieter now, humbled in a way money couldn't fix. And for the first time, that cold mansion felt like it might learn how to be a home. The sunroom glowed with soft morning light as Maya guided Lucas inside. He settled onto the wide window bench, still gripping her hand like it anchored him to something safe. Outside, gardeners trimmed hedges in quiet patterns, their movement steady, rhythmic, the exact calm he needed. Ethan lingered near the doorway, hands in his pockets, unsure how close to stand. He watched Maya gently tilt Lucas's chin up. "You breathing a little easier now?" she asked. Lucas nodded, small but real. "It's not loud anymore." "That's good, sugar," she said. "Storms don't last forever." Ethan lowered himself onto the opposite end of the bench, careful not to crowd them. "He's never calmed down this fast," he admitted. "Not with any therapist. Not even with me." Maya kept stroking Lucas's curls. Children don't heal on schedules. They heal when someone finally listens. Ethan looked at her, really looked, and something softened behind his eyes. "I didn't listen," he said quietly. "Not to him, and not to anyone after Julia died." Maya didn't judge. "Grief makes you deaf sometimes. But you're hearing him now." Lucas leaned his head on her uninjured shoulder. She felt the weight of it, not heavy but trusting, and held still so he wouldn't shift away. Ethan watched, stunned by how effortless it looked. A housekeeper walked by the doorway and paused. "He's smiling," she whispered to herself, as if witnessing a miracle. Lucas picked up a small wooden puzzle from the table and handed Maya a piece. She fitted in gently. He smiled again, the kind that almost disappeared over the past year. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "I keep thinking I can fix everything with structure, lessons, routines. But he doesn't need another schedule, does he?" "No," Maya said plainly. "He needs presence, softness, someone who doesn't rush him." "Someone like you," Ethan murmured. She didn't answer that. Couldn't. Instead, she focused on Lucas's tiny fingers placing another puzzle piece. Kids rebuild faster when someone sits beside them instead of over them. Lucas looked up. "Maya, you'll stay today, right?" She brushed a thumb across his cheek. "I'm right here, baby." Ethan's breath hitched. "Thank you," he whispered, not as a billionaire, but as a man finally admitting he couldn't carry everything alone. Maya didn't reply. She didn't need to. Her presence answered for her. And in that quiet sunroom, with glass walls catching soft light, the three of them sat together, not as boss, staff, and child, but as something gentler, something beginning to heal. And for a fleeting moment, peace settled where grief had lived far too long. That afternoon, the house felt different, not lighter, not louder, just warmer in a way Maya hadn't sensed before. Lucas wandered through the living room with a blanket draped over his shoulders, humming softly to himself. Not the anxious buzz from yesterday. This was gentler, like his little world had stopped shaking for a moment. Maya sat beside him on the rug, helping him stack colored blocks into a crooked tower. "You ever build one taller than your daddy?" she teased. Lucas giggled. "Daddy's too tall. I can't win." "You don't have to win," she said. "Just build." From across the room, Ethan watched with quiet all that didn't fit his usual sharp presence. No phone in his hand, no assistant behind him, just a father trying to understand the soft language his son spoke. When Lucas ran off to fetch another toy, Ethan stepped closer. "I owe you more than I can say," he murmured. Maya didn't look up. "You don't owe me. You owe him." "I know," he said, voice low, "but you showed me how deeply I failed him." Maya fitted a block onto the tower. "You didn't fail. You froze. Happens to grown men, too." Ethan exhaled, not frustrated, but relieved that someone finally said it without accusation. Lucas returned, arms full of toys too big for him to carry. Maya helped him settle, then watched as he leaned against Ethan's leg, something he hadn't done since his mother passed. Ethan froze, startled by the small act of trust, then gently placed a hand on his son's back. Lucas looked up. "Daddy, I'm not mad at you." Ethan's breath broke. "I know, buddy. I'm trying really hard." Maya pretended to focus on the blocks, giving them a moment that belonged only to them. After a while, she rose to stretch her shoulder. Ethan stepped forward. "Are you still hurting?" "Pain fades," she said softly. "Already is." "Because of him?" he asked. "Because of purpose," she corrected. He nodded, humbled. "Maya, whatever happens next, I want you to know you changed my child's life." She met his eyes for a brief second. "I didn't change him. I saw him. You can too." Lucas tugged her hand. "Stay for dinner?" Maya smiled. "Only if you save me a biscuit." Lucas nodded eagerly and ran toward the kitchen. Ethan watched her with something new in his expression, respect mixed with something deeper, unspoken. But Maya stepped back before anything more crossed a line. She came here for the child, and that was enough. And as the evening settled over the mansion, it felt like forgiveness had finally found a place at the table. The house was quiet after dinner, the kind of quiet that didn't feel heavy anymore. Lucas lay on the couch under a soft throw blanket, eyelids drooping as he fought sleep. Maya sat beside him, gently tracing circles on his back the way her mother used to when the world felt too loud. Ethan stood near the doorway, watching the scene unfold with a softness he never knew he carried. It was the first time in months he'd seen his son drifting into sleep without fear, without clinging to the memory of someone he'd lost. "Will you read the last page?" Lucas mumbled, holding out the picture book with tired fingers. Maya smiled. "Course I will, sugar." She read softly, letting her voice rise and fall like a lullaby. The story ended with a child finding his way home by following a quiet, steady light. Lucas's breathing slowed, his grip on her hand loosening as he faded into peaceful sleep. Ethan stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't think he'd ever sleep like this again." Maya tucked the blanket around the boy's shoulders. "Kids don't forget how to rest," she said. "They just forget how it feels to be safe." Ethan swallowed hard. "You brought that back." She rose carefully, mindful of her healing shoulder. He brought it back himself. "I just showed him where the door was." They stood in the quiet glow of the living room lamps, neither speaking. For a moment, the house didn't feel like marble and money. It felt human. Maya picked up her bag. "I should head home." Ethan nodded slowly. "Will you come back tomorrow?" She hesitated, looking from him to the child curled peacefully on the couch. "If he needs me, I'll be here." Ethan exhaled, something unspoken settling between them, gratitude deeper than any apology he could give. She walked toward the door. Before stepping out, she glanced back one last time at the sleeping boy. The stillness of the room, the father trying to learn how to show up. Some homes aren't built with walls. They're built with moments like this. If you believe this should never happen again, share this now. And to my USA, UK, and Canadian viewers, your voice is power. Use it